This is why I decided not to speak because I was but don't worry. Like don't plan stuff out on my. You know what I'm talking about. Don't that. Not that you were going to.
Yeah, it's fine.
So it's good? You don't learn how to see it?
No, just to see that. That's the only thing.
Yeah, he's been around for another couple of years. She's like one of the longest of the players who listens the most about me. She was at the meeting came to your television. Yeah, I knew she was on the fire. I forgot that she was on the fire. I should have been like, okay, I shouldn't have heard the small like I'm a part of it. She's like working at most of them.
She was on it.
I mean, I come to this like I so I don't know that I yeah, it's like I think it's like what they put there. You see that?
Yeah, I think it was sure it is. I didn't know well.
I was comfortable. He's like,
Just no matter what. Just not doing the job.
Continuation of the January 8th, 2015 meeting of the Fire and Police Commission. We met earlier in closed session. Present are Commissioners DeVogus, Cabrera, Wilson, O'Hare, Hine and Morgan. Also present representing the fire department is Chief Mark Rolfing, and representing the police department is Chief Ed Flynn and Vanessa Armstrong. Thank you. I will remember that. There's Val Hyde back there. And also we have Vince Mashala, counsel from City Attorney's Office, counsel to the commission. And we will proceed with the agenda. I just want to provide some updates and information before we proceed with the agenda that might help with people that are here to speak tonight. First, I wanted to say there have been some questions about our ability to hear any information or have any ruling over the duty disability hearing for Officer Manny. That is not within our jurisdiction. We do not have anything to do with that. So I'm just letting you know that is not for us to hear or make any decision on. We also, and I know we have discussed this before, that individuals have asked to meet with either commissioners or the commission in a separate meeting, and we can't do that. We can't, we abide by open meeting laws, and also because all of us are subject to be part of the Officer Manny appeal hearing, we can't meet with anyone who might be concerned at all with the issue or can jeopardize the panel. So just letting you know also about that issue. We will be scheduling the Manny appeal hearing for the first week in February. We don't have a specific date yet. There will be more information to come, but the hearing will be scheduled for the first week in February. Also, to let people know, we do have room 301A available for overflow. If people want, if there is a feed in there, you can watch the meeting from in there. We will have public comment time today at the end of our business. Public comment, you must sign up for public comment, and in 301A is the area where you can sign up on a sheet to speak. Everyone will be limited to 2 minutes so that everyone has the opportunity to speak tonight. And I think that is all of my updates for right now, so we can proceed. And I need a motion to approve those, please.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We also need to approve the meeting minutes from the December 4th, 2014 meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Also, just want to let you know that we have the decision and order from the United States District Court relative to Richard Shane versus the City of Milwaukee, and I understand he has appealed that decision. And then next, under new business, we have been asked by FPC staff to determine whether the commission can accept applications from certain former department members. And commissioners, do you have a motion for that?
Yes, I would move that for the applications that otherwise comply with the commission rules, that the commission staff permit the filing of those applications for further review pursuant to regular application processes, including the regular process for review of good character and fitness.
Thank you. Do I have a second, please?
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have our police dispatcher eligible list, and I do need a motion to approve that eligible list, please.
Move to approve.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have requests from Chief Mark Rolfing to promote AGO Douglas Peace to the position of Vehicle Operations Instructor.
Move to approve.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. then we have a request from Chief Mark Wolfing to promote Brett Metzen to the position of heavy equipment operator.
Move to approve.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Oh, I didn't see this here. I didn't know this. I didn't see that he was here. We offer his congratulations to him in absentia. And then we have the appointment from Chief Mark Wolfing of Melissa Young to the position of office coordinator.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then we have correspondence. Firefighter Manuel Rodriguez has been granted a medical leave of absence. Fire Cadet Deontra Woods has returned to duty. He's unpaid military leave. And Fire Cadet Zachary Zalazzo has been terminated from the fire department. All right. That is the end of our fire department business. On to police department business. Request from Chief Flynn to promote Francis Mastro Giovanni to the position of Police District Office Assistant.
Move to approve.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And we have correspondence regarding extension of the probation period for Detective Tiffany Skoneskis. We also have correspondence regarding the request to use contingency police officers. And then we have a request from the chief, or correspondence from the chief. Oh wait, sorry, these have to be approved. Sorry, I'm misreading my notes, I apologize. Let me go back here. All right, excuse me. Let's go back to item 7B. We have a request from Chief Flynn to extend the probationary period for Detective Tiffany Skoneski.
Move to approve.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And sorry, then we have item C, correspondence from the chief requesting to use several officers from the contingency list.
Move to approve.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then lastly, we have a request from Chief Flynn to rescind for officers, officer candidates from, that they did not qualify or withdrew or did not qualify for the position of police officer. Michael Shalley, William Need, Stephen Kyler, and Sean McNeil. For a motion, please.
Move to approve.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And that, as far as I know, is the end of our regular business, and now is the time for public comment. Again, each person will be asked you to come up to the microphone. Please state your name, and I will time you, and you'll be given 2 minutes to speak. Our first speaker is Chris Amity.
One, this morning at the Public Safety Committee meeting right here in this room, they had an update from the department on their plans for crisis intervention training for Chief Flynn and Inspector Energies. And it's great to see that be expedited, and I think that the mayor, the department, Greater Milwaukee Foundation, the Hamilton family, and anybody who had anything to do with that expediting the crisis intervention training should be commended. Also, I think it's important to recognize, earlier on the agenda, you had this decision in order for the U.S. District Court in the Shane case. Remember, this is the guy who punched the woman with the car, and you upheld the chief's discipline in that case after a little back and forth. But you did that, and I think people should recognize that that's really important, that the commission can make those kinds of decisions. My last point is to this encouragement, the chiding almost, if you will. In 2011, 2012, 2013, the commission, under Mr. Tobin's leadership, got Professor Steve Brandel at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee to do an analysis of use of force. We had use of force analysis reports. I'm hoping that one was done for 2013, and I'm hoping that it will be released soon, because it's very important, and it has some new information about the expansion of covered offenses. And so for the sake of transparency, et cetera, I think it's very important that we hear about that. Thank you.
Next is Reverend Steve Jerby.
Steve Jerby, the senior pastor at All People's Church. Now I begin by saying that I am thankful to hear at least the week in which the hearing for the appeal of Christopher Manning will be heard. We've been anxiously waiting for that date. But tonight I want to speak about leadership in this city that have spoken of those who come out to raise their voices and their concerns, the names that have been called, the way that we have been disparaged in the media and in meetings behind closed doors. It is unacceptable. If there is any word that should be used for those who will come out, even on a night like this, let me suggest this one. And that is that we are radicals. We are radicals because we have been radicalized to the point where we cannot remain silent, where we are radical in our desire to change the system that brings us forth to cry for justice. And at the root of that word, the Latin base of that word is the root, and so we are interested in the root problems involving Dontre Hamilton's case, but we're also interested in the root problems that are tearing apart this city, and that we are coming out so that the voices of the people may be heard. We need every step of the way for this to be an open process. We need the community to be involved in the hearings. We need to be able to hear the evidence to represent the desires of the people. And we need the commission to recognize that we will be here. This is your new norm. Choosing this room for tonight's meeting, you better all be thanking Jesus that we had a snowstorm, because there wouldn't have been enough room, and that's unacceptable when the city's involvement, the community's desires are so great.
Next speaker is Shay Shackamire. Okay.
My name is Shay Shackamire, and I'm a resident here in Milwaukee, and I'm with the Coalition for Justice. And reading through the Milwaukee Police Department's Code of Conduct, Section 5 really caught my attention. And I was raised in a religion that taught me that every person has inherent life and dignity, and to seek out the truth and meaning in life, and to fight for justice, and know that there's equality, and to seek that in this world. So Section 5 in the Code of Conduct for MPD is in regard to respect. And it says, "We hold life in the highest regard. We treat all citizens and colleagues with dignity and respect, and are fair and impartial as we perform these duties." That didn't happen in the case of Dontre Hamilton. And so we're going to keep coming back here today until we see the city of Milwaukee taking steps to bring justice to him and his family and all people in Milwaukee. Because this case is more than just about Dontre. It strikes at the core that segregation and racism is rampant in Milwaukee. And we're going to keep standing up and speaking out until we change that. And so I urge you, commissioners, to take the opportunity and in the positions that you have to do what you can to bring justice to Dontre and the Hamilton family. Because you have the opportunity, and it's also your responsibility.
Next speaker is Eric Simon.
My name is Eric Simon. Standing PA Coalition in Milwaukee, looking for accountability in what I see and others see in misconduct in men's handling of Dontre that day. And I stand here wanting accountability and more feedback with the people we know that have their say. And this sad to me that not more people could show up today, but want you to know that this is only the beginning and that we all want to stand up. Will not stop.
Next speaker is Danielle Meyer.
I'm Danielle Meyer. I'm with the Coalition for Justice for Dontre Hamilton. When I was thinking about what to say today, I honestly had a lot of trouble because we've been saying the same thing for 9 months, and yet our cries continue to go unheard. Manny is simultaneously appealing for his job and stating that he can't do his job at the same time by filing for disability. He had 17 complaints against him in 13 years and was allowed to continue working until he killed someone. The fact that he's still working or that he's walking a free man is insane, let alone letting him back into the streets with a weapon. And the other part of this, his hearing isn't open to the public, despite the fact that the result of this hearing has a tremendous impact on our community. We're demanding that you hold a public hearing for you, the commission, to hear us and to take our concerns into consideration when you make this very important decision. This body is here, this body, the commission, is here to hold the police department accountable and to protect the community from police overreach. Do the right thing. Do your job. Hear your community and uphold the termination of Christopher Manning. Thank you.
Next speaker is Josh Delpole.
My name is Josh Delpole. I'm just with the Coalition for Justice. Just off the bat, I don't think Christopher Manning should be reinstated. 17 But I also want to go with the statements that several members of Milwaukee County Council just made in regards to expanding the Fire Police Commission from 7 to 9 members. I think that's very important, and I think it's your duty. We live in a time right now where there is a lot of attention towards policing, and there needs to be changes with policing as a whole, and we need to have more community accountability. And I think the statements that everyone says shows that we're not going away, and the community is not going away. We're going to keep on pushing and pushing until the community has a voice over the actions of police officers and has more direct accountability. So I believe believe it is your job as the Fire and Police Commission to try to help us as a community to create a community board that actually has real consequences for police agency and can hold officers accountable. Lastly, I really want to see the creation of an early warning system to monitor individual officers. I'm sure something like this exists, but it obviously needs to be better. I myself had an incident with an officer where I was tackled for throwing him. I filed a complaint with the Fire and Police Commission, and a good job was done to investigate it, but unfortunately it was prior to the rule change to require squad cars to have their cameras on all the time, and the interaction with the police officer, and telling me, admitting that he tackled him, conveniently wasn't on the table. So I'm just urging that, you know, as somebody who has been a victim of police misconduct myself, there needs to be more community accountability for it. And lastly, real quick, Chief Flynn made a comment about us, the protesters, us, the people who are making statements in the for justice at Fire and Police Commission meeting in November about how we don't care about violence that's happening in our city. I myself am a paraprofessional. I've worked in MPS, I've worked with youth. I was a social worker for 2 years. There are many people in this room who are standing up, who are social workers, who are teachers, who are community members, who engage with you, who are trying to stop violence. It's despicable that you said that. You were on your phone, you could have just simply said that, you know, I'm
Sorry, your
on
time
my
is up.
phone, but your actions and
Sir?
your statements were.
Your time is up, thank you. Next speaker is Santara Michaels.
Fuchu, addition to Cost and Tara Michaels, aesthetic law, my name is Sarah Michaels, and I'm Indigenous. I'm here with the Coalition for Justice, and we demand that you uphold the termination of Christopher Manning and do not grant disability.
Next speaker is Jim Carpenter.
Good evening. Thank you for having, allowing the public to speak on this issue. My name is Jim Carpenter. I'm an activist in the community. I'm an activist in the Democratic Party. I'm really glad that our party put out a statement saying that we are in solidarity with the Hamilton family. We believe there was a grave injustice by not charging Officer Manning. That the facts speak for themselves, and a reasonable person would have this brought to trial. So those facts could be aired and the jurors could make a decision. One of the facts that came out that the Democratic Party mentioned in the statement was the fact that I heard on the steps of the federal courthouse, where it's not illegal to defend yourself against somebody who's beating you. And so that, how much of Dontre Hamilton's actions were in self-defense, that should have come out in a jury trial. And let me say this too, I do not judge policemen by the actions of one bad cop. Some of my best friends are policemen. In fact, one of my best friends is a policeman, retired policeman from another big city, and we were talking about these incidents, and he said, you know, even conservative commentators on Fox News are stating that the policeman in New York who choked someone to death should have been charged. And so I make the same analogy in this case. You know, if I got into a car and acted negligently and killed someone and committed a homicide by driving under the influence, I would be charged with a crime, as I should be. Officer Manning, he acted negligently. That's why I believe he was fired. Someone who acts with negligence and then a homicide results, that's a crime. I would be charged if I did it, driving drunk. This officer should be charged too. It should have gone to trial. Justice has not been served. We stand with the Hamilton family in bringing this to the federal level, and I wish this decision could have been reversed, and we are in solidarity with the Hamilton family.
Next speaker, Curtis Sales III.
So first and foremost, just want to say Happy New Year to all of you. It is a privilege that we get the opportunity to sit here again at this table tragic, however, that Dontre Hamilton does not have the opportunity to sit in this room and tell his story. That he cannot be wished a Happy New Year. That his family hears Happy New Year from everyone in the city, but can they truly be happy? The decision made by the district attorney was the wrong one. And so we are coming to you today to ask you to do the right thing and to uphold the termination of Officer Christopher Manning. We have not once come to this table and said all policemen are bad. We have never once come to this table and said we need to fire all of the policemen and live in a state without it. We're not saying that all officers on the street are bad individuals. We're saying this one was. 17 different civilian complaints levied against him in his 13-year career. I think that averages out to about 1.3 or 1.4 per year he was on the force. If you average that out in months, I think that's one almost every 8 to 9 months. He had more complaints than years on the force. I agree with the chief in the statements that he made publicly on the news and saying that he doesn't believe Christopher Manning is fit to be an officer in the city. And so I ask that you all consider the same thing and make the same decision and rule that Christopher Manning is not fit to be an officer in the city anymore. Thank you.
Nathaniel Hamilton Jr.
So, we come here and we continue to come here because something's wrong. Something happened very bad in our city, and it's because the officer failed to follow his protocol, his training, the procedures that were mandated for him to follow. We had a police chief who saw that same thing, that if Christopher Manning would have not did an out-of-pocket search, that Dontre might still be here and be alive today. Following that, that means that Christopher Manning, who came to the park, and what he did was he initiated a problem. He caused the problem that resulted into Dontre dying that day. The district attorney didn't see that being so. The district attorney used excessive force, and that was it. We have a bad district attorney on our hands that needs to be gone from our system. We also need to make sure that if you start something, then why don't you be held accountable for the outcome of it? If I go pick a fight with an individual, I will be held accountable for the outcome of that situation. So this officer should be held accountable from beginning to end, not just the middle, which the district attorney so called himself being investigating the middle of the incident to the end. Dontre was beat very badly, and he protected himself against a rogue officer who didn't and haven't followed his training since he was on the force. And it's well noted that he didn't through the 17 complaints. So you guys, please look into the beginning to the end, not the middle. Thank you.
And our last speaker is Jenna Knapp.
Hello, I'm Jenna Knapp. I'm with the Coalition for Justice, and I first want to express a deep love to the Hamilton family. I have grown to know those people in the last 5 months, and I wouldn't be anywhere else right now. I want to say welcome back from your holiday break. I sincerely hope you all enjoyed the time with your family and your friends in a season that is supposed to be joyous. And though we haven't seen you in a while, a lot has happened since we last met. Christmas happened, holidays came and went, the new year came and went, and the decision came down. I've been thinking a lot about the lack of the holiday season that the Hamilton family has had, as well as the family suffering similar losses around the country. And as if it didn't hurt bad enough The decision not to indict Christopher Manning happened in the same week of Christmas. And the grand jury in Ferguson, Missouri made the decision not to indict Officer Wilson in the Mike Brown case just days before Thanksgiving. Tonight I want to share a bit of a speech from Pastor Steve of All People's Church that took place when the tree was lit in Red Arrow Park, Don Tre's ground zero. Let it illustrate how this fight is far from over, even as the people continue to ice skate on the same ground that holds his blood. The tradition says the Christmas tree was used because it was an evergreen, a symbol of life continuing even in the midst of winter, even in the face of death. When this tree was lit, we hope that folks remember the life that was lost and the way that Don Tre lives on in our hearts and in our struggle. We become evergreen signs, continuing the work for justice, no matter the weather, no matter the DA's decision, no matter how long it takes. We will not wither, we will not fade, we will not die. Although the struggle is everlasting, we will remain evergreen. Thank you.
That's the end of public comment. We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.